Hey y'all, welcome back to the Fire Water Cooking Channel. I'm Darren. Today I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I don't think I've ever done this one before on the channel. I've cooked plenty of chuck roasts, but we're going to do a hot and fast sous vide chuck roast. I'll be right back.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Okay guys, I've done a couple different chuck roasts on my channel before, and some London broils and some other longer brisket, stuff like that that takes a long time to cook. But this time I'm going to do a chuck roast. There was a special on our local Sprouts market the other day on chuck roast, $2.99 a pound. So I bought a couple of them just to, I knew we were going to do some good cooks with these. So I've done several chuck roast and other stuff where I do a long cook, 24, 36, 48 hours at a lower temp. But today I'm going to try out a hot and fast sous vide cook on a chuck roast. Instead of cooking it at 140, 150, 130 for a longer time, I'm going to do 185 degrees for 7 hours and see where this puts us on a chuck roast. I'm hoping it'll get us at a nice, probably not fall apart tender, but a nice steak-like consistency. So we're gonna try that out and see. I already had this vacuum sealed and frozen. I had a little bit of my normal beef rub seasoned on it, salt, pepper, and garlic. So not a ton. So it's gonna do a little bit of brining and cooking in the sous vide bag. And when we take it out, we're gonna season it up a little bit more and sear it up and see how it turns out. So, all right guys, I'll be right back as soon as I'm throwing it into the sous vide. As I got the chuck roast out of the sous vide, and what I did is I took the bag juices and I went ahead and put it in a pan. We're going to boil this up a little bit so that the proteins come to the top. Then we're going to strain it. We're going to make a gravy out of it. And I've chopped up some canned mushrooms. I'm going to make a cornstarch slurry. We're going to use a little bit of dehydrated onion, some It's Incredible pepper, and some Worcestershire sauce. And we're going to make a nice little gravy for the chuck roast. And I'll put the instructions down below. All right, so we got this boiling right now. I just wanted to get some of the hardened solids to solidify a little bit so we can strain it off. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of it right now, but usually there's some solids that you want to kind of drain out. Maybe we'll just run it into a gravy separator instead. Yeah, so I don't see a whole lot of solids, so I'm just going to run it through a gravy strainer so we can strain some of the fat out. If you don't know what a gravy strainer is, this is just lets the fat float to the top, so you're just left with the nice beef juices. Let that strain out. That's good, leaves all the fat in there. So I'm going to go ahead and toss in my mushrooms. And I'm going to get this going before I put the meat on the cooktop. I'm going to do it on the Blackstone today. So I did about 2 tablespoons of dehydrated onion. I'm going to do about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. About a teaspoon of the It's Incredible rub, and probably a little less than a teaspoon of black pepper, maybe a half a teaspoon, coarse ground. That should be enough there, and we're going to kind of let that cook up a little bit. And this is going to be our little mushroom gravy. And then I took 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and this is going to be our cornstarch slurry. And I'm just going to add that with a couple tablespoons of water. And if you've never done a cornstarch slurry, you just kind of take it and stir it up so that you don't have any lumps. And I like to do this a lot when I'm doing these kinds of sauces because it's hard to make a roux since we're not frying anything in a pan and getting any kind of butter or anything. It's easier to do a cornstarch slurry, and cornstarch really doesn't add any extra flavors to it, where flour sometimes you can get that floury taste. But if you look at it here, you just want it to where it gets all incorporated so there's no lumps. And then once you have your liquid going, I'm going to add just a little bit more of the seasoning. Once you got a kind of a rolling little boil here, you can put your cornstarch slurry in, and that should automatically start thickening up. Doesn't take long at all for it to work. You don't want it too thick, but you do want it thick enough to stick to stuff. And a good way to do that is take a spoon and kind of see if it sticks to the spoon, which it's starting to. Make sure you turn your fire down. You don't want a rolling boil on it all the time. Kind of turn it down to medium low. Just a little bit more. Thicken it up just a little bit more. And there we go. I think that's going to be good. Now we're just going to let this sit down and keep warm. It'll continue to thicken a little bit. And we're going to use that for our potatoes and our meat. All right, guys, I got my meat ready to go. Okay, got my gravy all ready. Got all my other dishes ready to go to cook today. So I am going to season this with just a little bit more of the It's Incredible rub, and just a little bit of coarse ground pepper. And we are going to do it on the Blackstone today, and that's already heating up. One of the things I like about the griddle like that is I can just go out there and turn it on real quick. It doesn't take long at all to heat up. Okay, bit of pepper, and that's it. All right, we're gonna go out and throw that on the griddle and crisp it up, and we'll be done. All right, guys, I got my griddle all nice and hot. It's probably about 550 degrees. Put a little canola oil down and just start to sear it up. I just want to make sure you got enough oil down. Since we're not inside, I'm not worried about a smoke point. So the canola oil actually has a very high smoke point anyway, so it actually works out pretty good on this griddle. Make sure you turn it over. Did about 1.5 minutes on each side. This is a really thick roast, and we're doing it well done, so we're not really caring about it overcooking. We're just wanting to get a nice hard crust on it. So that's it, guys. Got a nice char, and it's falling apart, so there's no way that this 185 for 7 hours wasn't enough. All right, use a little bit of the gravy here. Pour it right on top. Take a little bite of that. That's just fine. Yep. 185 at 7 hours was great. Very tender, still juicy, very flavorful. I might just do it this way most of the time now, unless I want it medium or medium rare. But you have to try this, guys. Hot and fast chuck roast in the sous vide. Very good. Make a nice gravy. Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, subscribe, share, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks, guys.